back morning, night, and afternoon. Join our family, connect with your crew. Kings FM 88.5, just for you.
From the nation capital, Monrovia. Good afternoon and a pleasant welcome to King's Newsroom. King's Newsroom is a 45 minutes of news from Liberia, Africa, and the world at large. Today is Tuesday, January 27th, and the year remains 2026. I am Marvin via anchoring this presentation. First, we look at story tapping the headlines. Ministry of State's National Security Agency and Executive Protection Agency investigate circumstances surrounding President Joseph Boakai Sona leaked. Sources tell Kings that officials of the Ministry of Information and others are being investigated. Despite real-time data of weak human capital development and economic improvement, serious Hong Kong situation deeply divided society. President Joseph Boakai claims his government has made progress. Management of the Liberia Electricity Corporation says the country's power outage and disruptions are far from resolving. Notes that the corporation never promised stable electricity. Away from home, a group of officers in Nigeria are set to face a military court after being accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu last year, an armed forces statement has said. The leaders of the Kenyan court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a further 52 deaths, as another village prosecutor says. Detail with the news bulletin and voices of the news make an all package for today's presentation of King's Newsroom. We'll take a very short break to bring you the news bulletin. Welcome back. At this juncture, we now join Kwame Brand for the news bulletin.
Kings FM has independently gathered that the Ministry of State, National Security Agency, and the Executive Protection Agency that investigating how the President full State of the Nation's address got leaked while the President was still speaking. On Monday, the President full Sona got leaked, with many online platform posting it before the climax, the situation that have left several persons wondering. The investigation, according to our sources, would include the Ministries of Information, those who compiled the Sona, and other individuals who believe to have access to the soft and hard copies of the address. The leaked speech was exposed that has exposed the president's insecurity, with many supporters calling swift investigation and dismissal of individuals connected to the act. President Joseph Boakai has outlined the achievement of his government in 2025, noting the Liberian economy is progressing under his administration than previous administration. Delivering his choice soon on Monday, Boakai said his administration committed to national development through infrastructure expansion, declaring rural connectivity, which he termed central pillar of his government's transformation agenda for the country. He further claimed that notable progress has been made in road development nationwide. According to him, paved road coverage has increased from below 12% to the approximately 20%, while more than 780 kilometers of major roads are currently being maintained. He added that these efforts have significantly improved connectivity between county capitals, farming communities, health facilities, and markets, lowering transportation costs and easing the daily burden on citizens. At the same time, President Joseph Boakai has announced that Liberia's economy has recorded a 5.1% growth at rate in 2025 under his administration. According to him, economic performance in 2025 positions Liberia for a higher economic growth in 2026, noting that the achievement was driven by major contributions from the mining, agriculture, fisheries, and services sectors. He added that mining and related sectors expanded by 17%, a development he described as a sign of the resilience of Liberia's economy. President Wakai further stated that increased infrastructure investment and growth in other sectors are expected to push economic expansion to above 5% in 2026. He added that the average growth rate is projected at about 6% annually from 2026 to 2028. Speaking on inflation, President Wakai reported that the inflation rate fell to 4% in December 2024, that's 25, while he described as the lowest level recorded in 2 decades. Meanwhile, the Liberian leader said in 2025, 70,000 short and medium-term jobs were created through targeted investment in infrastructure, agriculture, social protection, and small businesses. He noted that these efforts are focused on removing long-standing structural constraints to growth, particularly through improvements in roads, energy, and other critical infrastructure. He also announced that a national employment acceleration strategy is being finalized with emphasis on agriculture, public works, skills training, and support to small enterprises. According to the president, the strategy will help more Liberians earn decent livelihoods with dignity while strengthening the nation's economic foundation. This after offering a public apology and assuring Liberians of improved electricity readability. Liberia Electricity Corporation Management on Monday reverted its statement, saying it never promised on uninterrupted electricity and has not claimed that Liberia's power problems are fully solved. The corporation, in its initial statement issued on January 20th regarding nationwide power disruption, apologized to customers for what it describes as temporary inconveniences and reassured the public of its commitment to the reliable provision of electricity across the country. He further claimed it was strengthening its system and collaborating with regional partners to enhance grid stability. Several Liberians have expressed strong disappointment in the Unity Party-led government's performance. Speaking Monday ahead of the President's State of the Nation's address during Citizens' View sampling, the citizens expressed frustration over what they called government's failure to deliver on key promises made to them during the 2023 campaigns. Among those who spoke, a woman identified as Hannah Robert accused the president of failing to create a job, improve the economy, and reduce crime rates. According to her, since assuming office in 2024, President Joseph Nyimampuaka is yet to live up to citizens' expectation and make the true that he promised during the campaign. He further accused the president of deceiving voters during the 2023 general election, stating that his campaign promises, especially those related to job creation, have not been fulfilled over the past 2 years. Meanwhile, opposition lawmaker Frank Safoko of the Congress for Democratic Change has sharply criticized President Joseph Nyimambuaka's State of Nations address, accusing the president of misrepresenting conditions in the country and misleading the public of that's on government programs, job, and youth empowerment. Speaking to reporters shortly after the president's address, Focus said the president lied to the Liberian people on government programs. Representative Foko alleged that several claims made by President Boakai during his tour Sona were untrue, particularly those relating to youth programs, employment, and national development initiatives. He further questioned the credibility of the administrations of youth-focused initiatives during arguing that the reality on the ground contradicts the president's statements. The government of Liberia and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa on Monday signed a 30 million United States financing agreement to upgrade the Salaye Konya Road in Lofa County. An additional 700,000 United States dollars grant dedication was given to improving health services along the Banga Vonjama Road corridor is also included in that agreement. Speaking during the signing ceremony, the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Augustin Yafwan, expressed deep appreciation to Badie and all development partners for their steadfast support to Liberia. He describes the agreement as a significant milestone in the government's infrastructure agenda and clear demonstrations of strong international partnership. In another development, Health Minister Dr. Louis Boto has described the signing of a 30 million United States financing agreement between the government of Liberia and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa as a historic milestone, not only for road infrastructure but also for healthcare delivery in Lofa County and the wider region. Dr. Boto made the remarks at the signing ceremony of the upgrading of the Salaye Konya Road, an agreement that also includes an additional 700,000 United States grant aimed at improving health services along the Banga Vonjama Road corridor. According to the health minister, the occasion represents far more than the launch of a road project, but a significant milestone for the people of Salaye Konya and the region as a whole. Police in Kakata have arrested and detained a businessman in the area accused of biting off part of a man's ear during a violent fistfight at the liquor shop in Green Island community. The suspect, identified as Siadu Tony, was escorted to the Crime Services Department office in Calcutta following allegations of aggravated assault, police said. Upon arrival at the police station, officer observed that Tony was bleeding from the mouth. Preliminary police investigations revealed that Tony had been involved in a physical altercation with Chris C. 29 as age, a resident of Telecom community in Kakata. A petty trader on the Bushru Island, identified as Ellen Gay, has expressed concerns over what she described as a several slowdown in business activities at the Douala market. Speaking with King's FM over the weekend, Gay narrated that prior to the festive season, sales were stable but have since declined. She attributed the short-term downturn to recent actions acquiring street vendors to relocate into the Douala Market building. Gay also accused the police officers in the area are in the habit of chasing after petty traders, confiscating their goods. Also, she said they are normally chased to leave the streets and move into the market facility, but claimed that the buildings lack sufficient space to host all the marketers. The Environmental Protection Agency of Liberia is currently participating in a specialized training program for its inspectors at the Edward Bayer Casali Barracks in Magabe County ahead of the February 11, 2026 Armed Forces Day celebration. The training is being conducted by members of the Armed Forces of Liberia and forms part of the activities marking the 69th anniversary of the AFL as a formally recognized national institution. This year's observance is historic as it marks the first time the EPA, under the leadership of its executive director, Emmanuel Yakpawolo, has officially joined the Armed Forces of Liberia in commemorating the Armed Forces Day. And an 18-year-old visually impaired male named John Josu is appealing to the national government, humanitarian organization, and goodwill individuals for assistance to continue his education. Speaking in an interview with King's News Monday, John explained that he has been finding it difficult to raise for enrollment for his registration fees and the postage of essential items. John Jusu said his dream is to become a great person in society, expresses eager for learning. According to him, he is unable to meet the school's financial, rental requirements, and other basic needs as a student.
Kwame Brown ends King's News Broom Bulletin. If you are just joining us, is a reminder that you are listening to a 45 minutes of news from Liberia, Africa, and the world. Story we are following this afternoon. Ministry of State's National Security Agency and Executive Protection Agency investigate circumstances surrounding President Joseph Boakai Thesona leak. Sources tells Kings that officials of the Ministry of Information and others are being investigated. Despite real-time data of weak human capital development and economic improvement, serious Hong Kong situation deeply divided society, President Boakai claims his government has made progress. Management of the Liberia Electricity Corporation says the country's power outage and disruptions are far from resolving. Notes that the corporation never promised stable electricity. Away from home, a group of officers in Nigeria are set to face a military court after being accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu last year. An armed forces statement has said. And the leaders of the Kenya court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a 52 years that's death at another village, prosecutor said. We'll take a very short break to be right back and bring you voices of the newsmaker. Welcome back to this first development. President Joseph Boakai has outlined achievement of his government in 2025, noting that Liberia economic is progressing under his administration than previous administration, delivering his Tesona Monday. Boakai said his administration committed to national development through infrastructure expansion, declaring road connectivity, which in turn central pillar of his government's transformation agenda for the country. He further claimed that notable progress has been made in road development nationwide. According to him, paved road coverage has increased from below 12% to approximately 20%, while more than 780 kilometers of nature roads are currently being maintained.
Mr. Speaker, members of the legislature, nearly 3 years ago, I assured the nation that road will be our focus, not as a slogan, but rather the commitment to connecting communities with opportunity. In furtherance of our commitment, we focus on restoring key corridors and expanding secondary roads. We increased Liberia's paved roads from under 12% to 20% and maintained more than 780 kilometers of major roads, ensuring year-round access. Connectivity improved between Ruraville and Batul, Salaye and Medekoma, Tapita and Zedru, as well as Buchanan and Greenville, reducing costs and easing hardship for citizens. Key roads like Ganta, Sakripe now 56%, Sakripe Tapita up to 92%, have advanced, while Kiripo Fishtown route is now fully paved. Additional projects, including the Buchanan Greenville Highway, are in the pipeline, thanks to partner support from African Development Bank, World Bank, and others. Efforts will be made more accessible to the rest of the country by road. The Army Corps of Engineers will play a role in delivering this initiative. In our ongoing commitment to maintain road access for our citizens, I am pleased to announce that the widely discussed 285 yellow machines procured by government last year are currently in shift.
At the same time, President Joseph Boakai has announced that Liberia's economic has recorded a 5.1% growth rate in 2025 under his administration. According to him, economic performance in 2025 positioned Liberia for a higher economic growth in 2026, noting that the achievement was driven by major contributions from the mining, agriculture, fishery, and services sectors.
We are proud to announce that the economy grew by 5.1% in 2020. This exceeds both the 4.6% forecast and the 4.0% growth recorded in 2024. This achievement was driven by significant gains in mining, agriculture, fisheries, and services. Mining expanded by 17% and rose by 31%. Looking ahead, ongoing reforms and infrastructure investment are expected to boost growth to over 5% in 2026, with average growth projected at about 6% from 2026 to 2028. Inflation fell to 4% by December 2025, the lowest in 2 decades, down from 10% when we took over in 2024. These achievements signal effective monetary and fiscal policies coupled with anticipated ease in input costs.
Meanwhile, the Liberian leader said in 2025, 70,000 short and medium-term jobs were created through targeted investments in infrastructure, agriculture, social protection, and small businesses. He noted that these efforts are focused on removing long-standing structural constraints to growth, particularly through improvement in road, energy, and other critical infrastructure.
Job creation remains a top priority for my administration. Our job creation strategy has focused on addressing binding and structural constraints of growth, including investment in roads. And in this connection, we have created more than 70,000 short and medium-term jobs across infrastructure, agriculture, social protection, and small businesses, among other sectors. Going forward, the Youth Entrepreneurship and Investment Bank project launched in 2025 will support 30,000 youth-led businesses, creating over 120,000 direct and indirect jobs for the youth. A national National Employment Acceleration Strategy focused on agriculture, public works, field training, and support to small enterprises has been finalized. This will facilitate more Liberians to earn decent life with dignity. Honorable members of the legislature, on January 15, 2025, the Liberian government launched the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development 2025-2029, the 15-county development agenda in Buchanan, Grand-Bassa County. These initiatives reaffirm the country's commitment to Vision 2030, focusing on delivering measurable results with decisive implementations.
Meanwhile, opposition lawmaker Frank Safoko of the Congress for Democratic Change has sharply criticized President Joseph Boakar's State of the Nation address, accusing the president of misrepresenting conditions in the country and misleading the public on government programs, jobs, and youth empowerment. Speaking to reporters shortly after the president's address, Foko said the president lied to the Liberian people on government programs.
My constitutional right, this is my job. And I'm here now, but the president just lied about the feeding program. The president just lied about the job. I mean, those are all lies. You cannot lie to the where in Monserrado, how the legislature went to your place. As I speak to you today, they use generator to carry the president program on today. As I speak to you now, that generator is beating. How can the president say you electrify the country? That's not true.
To this development, the government of Liberia and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa on Monday signed a US $30 million financing agreement to upgrade the Salaya-Kuna road in Lofa County. In addition, US $7 services along the Wanga-Vonchema Road corridor is also included in the agreement. Speaking during the signing ceremony, Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Egozin Gavwan, expressed deep appreciation to Badi and all development partners for their steadfast support to Liberia. He described the agreement as a significant milestone in the government's infrastructure agenda and a clear demonstration of strong international partnership.
I want to say thanks to everyone and our partners from Badea for making this day possible. We in Liberia are very happy that you could come to do the appraisal mission, and today we are initially in an agreement for $30 million support to this project. This project is critical. This project is one of our key corridors. I feel energized to say to the Minister of Works and the Minister of Health, our duty as the Ministry of Finance is to work to mobilize financing so that these top deliverers can continue to deliver. And I'm very happy that one time I said the role of the Ministry of Finance is to pass the ball so that others can score. So we pass the ball, the Ministry of Public Works scores the ball. We pass the ball, the Ministry of Health scores the goal. And so far, they've been scoring the goal. This project, the reason why we are happy is that when we came in, this government 2 years ago, this project was stalled. There was no movement on this road. There were issues. The funders had issues. And so they were not disbursing the commitment because we as a government were not meeting our commitment. So it's a getting for ourselves and our teams worked, and we had to travel to Kuwait last year, April, to unlock some of the challenges and to put us on a path. We had to renegotiate certain framework, and we had to ensure that the government was meeting its obligation. And as a result, we had subsequent meetings in DC on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank spring meeting, where the Kuwaiti Fund, Badea, and the other in the Arab group, including the Saudi Fund, the OPEC Fund for International Development, UFE, and there was a commitment that we will continue. Please convey to your principles in real the best wishes of the government and people of Liberia.
Also speaking ahead of the delegation of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Abdoulaye Bunchu described the newly signed US $30 million financing agreement with the government of Liberia as a strategic investment that will deepen economic resilience, promote social inclusion, and accelerate national development.
Between the 19th and 26th of January of 2026 for the increase of the Salaya road projects. I mean, we thank you for the for your support, which has been instrumental in the success of this mission. And when it comes to the long-standing relationship between India and Liberia, this is a relationship that dates back maybe to a long time, and that we cherish, and that we continue to see prosper people life. And not over the years, India has had the privilege of financing many strategic infrastructure projects. And these particular projects, for us, it doesn't only represent the continuity and the extension of a project that we have already financed, but also the opportunity to it's a pathway, strategic pathway for greater economic resilience and social inclusion, and also an opportunity to enhance connectivity, to amplify the impacts that we have already achieved in the context of the first section. So we are absolutely happy and privileged to be announced to you today. And we would also like to share that the initiative that was programmed for today marks a very important step in advancing consideration of financing this particular project. And we look forward to continue this collaboration and to push it forward. Thank you very much.
In another development, Health Minister Dr. Louis Boto has described the signing of a US $30 million financing agreement between the government of Liberia and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa as a historic milestone not only for road infrastructure, but also for healthcare delivery in Lofa County and the Wado region. Dr. Boto made the remarks at the signing ceremony for the upgrading of the Salaya Kona Road, an agreement that also includes an additional US 700,000 grant aimed at improving health services along the Banga-Vonchema Road corridor.
Today marks a significant milestone for the people of Salaya, Konya, and the region as a whole. As we gather here to witness the signing of the Salaya Konya Road project, we don't only celebrate that project, but we also celebrate the renovation of the Konya and the Salaya clinics. On behalf of the Ministry of Health, I extend my sincere appreciation to the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa for your continual partnership. This initiative demonstrates a clear understanding that roads and health facilities are deeply connected. When roads improve, access to healthcare improves. And when clinics are strengthened, lives are saved. We want to extend our sincere thanks and appreciation to you again for this initiative, and we are willing to work along with you to ensure that this is implemented.
She is Health Minister Dr. Louis Boto. It's a reminder, if you are just joining us, you are listening to a 45 minutes of news from the News and Public Affairs Department of Kings FM. Story we are following this afternoon. Minister of State, National Security Agency and Executive Protection Agency investigate circumstances surrounding President Joseph Boakai Sonan leaked. Sources tell Kings that officials of the Ministry of Internal information and others are being investigated. Despite real-time data of weak human capital development and economic improvement, serious Hong Kong situation deepen deeply divided does society. President Joseph Boakai claimed his government has made progress. Management of the Liberia Electricity Corporation says the country power outage and disruption are far from resolving. Notes that the corporation never promised stable electricity. Away from home, a group of officers in Nigeria are set to face a military court after being accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu last year, an armed forces statement has said. The leaders of the Kenyan court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a further 52 deaths at another village, prosecutor says. We'll take a very short break to bring you more development.
We came today to use
Welcome back. A petty trader on the bourgeois land, identified as Ellen Gay, has expressed concern over what she described as a severe slowdown in business activities at the Douala market. Speaking with King's Even over the weekend, Gay narrated that prior to the festive season, sales were stable but have since declined. She attributed the downturn to recent action requiring street vendors to relocate into the Douala market building. Gate also accused police officers in the area are in the habit of chasing after petty traders confiscating their goods.
We came today.
Before the Christmas and New Year, the business was all right for me. What they buying, okay. But after the season, the police were giving a hard time. We get special place to sell. They both on the road. And when you go on some other spot, they can take it from there. They carry different place. So they make it now. What's selling? We not really understand the selling again. And they put now one fan play for all to be good play for all to sell. In a dollar market building, we not fair there. The place small. We not fair there. So the market building, worry was good. It's not easy. The only thing one at least look at good play to sell. Because that play will sell the post that row. And when you move on the road, you go way beyond the customer can go way beyond. We forcing ourselves again to count the and we count the road, the people can run beyond us. Spotting our market. So we don't know what we want to do. We want for president to help us for selling play. Let's get good play to sell.
An 18-year-old visually impaired male named John Joshua is appealing to the national government, humanitarian organizations, and goodwill individuals for assisting to continue his education. Speaking in an interview with King's News Monday, John explained that he has been finding it difficult to raise for enrollment for his registration fees and other purchases of essential items. John Joshua said his dream is to become greater present in society, express his eager for learning. According to him, he is unable to meet the school financial rental requirements and other basic needs as a student.
We came today to use the platform to appeal to listeners out there to please help us. We are really stranded. We are students and we are renting our own. Our parents are all in the interior, but there's no way to send all money to pay our rentage.
You talk about help. What type of help that you are calling on the citizen for?
Yes, we are calling on the citizen to help us pay our rentage so that we'll be able to have a better sleeping place in order to push forward our education.
John Joseph ends our national story. Away from home, a group of officers in Nigeria are set to face a military court after being accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu last year. An armed forces statement has said 16 officers were arrested last October after what were described as act of indiscipline and breach of service regulation. At the time, the military dismissed rumors of an attempted coup, but following an investigation, the authorities have acknowledged that some of the 16 will go before a military jury. Nigeria has a complex history of military involvement in politics, with multiple coups between 1966 and 1993, which has made allegation of coup plotting highly sensitive. The leader of the Kenya court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a further 52 deaths at another village, prosecutor says. Self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Maikuza was arrested in 2023 after 429 bullets, including children, were dug up from mass graves in the remote Shakula forest. He has been in custody since his arrest and has been accused of laundering the Latia victims to their death by writing notes from his prison cell. McKinsey has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of manslaughter. Well, on that note, this is how let us go home this afternoon. Before we leave, these are stories we've been following on today's presentation of the program King's Newsroom. Ministry of State's National Security Agency and Executive Protection Agency investigate circumstances surrounding President Joseph Boakai Sonant late. Sources tell Kings that officials of Ministry of Information and others have been investigated. Despite real-time data of weak human capital development and economic improvement, serious Hong Kong situation deeply divided society. President Joseph Boakai claims his government has made progress. Management of Liberia Electricity Corporation says the country power outage and disruption are far from resolving. Notes that the corporation never promised stable electricity. And wait for home. A group of officers in Nigeria are set to face a military court after being accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu has last year, an armed forces statement has said. The leaders of the Kenya court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a future that followed 52 years at another village, prosecutor says. Many thanks to our reporter, news contributors, and editors who have made this presentation a successful one. Kwame Brand brought you the news bulletin, and Cornelius Johnson sat in control and coordinated our sound. For more news and information on King's Newsroom, kindly join us 6 this evening for another 45 minutes of news. I am Marvin Vi. Good afternoon from Morovia.